The villainous supporting actress throws herself at the crown prince, just to help the male lead clear his name. But she doesn't know someone is already jealous. Just now, after their stroll, they return to the Prime Minister's residence, only to hear shocking news. The fourth prince was pushed into the water and injured. The emperor is searching for the assassin, facing his father's sharp gaze. Feng Yunfei swears innocence, but he's puzzled. The fourth prince knows martial arts. A wasp sting shouldn't leave him near death. And now he's also injured internally. Something else must have happened that they don't know about. If they confess now, they'll surely be seen as the culprits. Zissou wants to tell the truth, but Feng Yunfei stops him. My dear father, if I say I'm skilled in medicine, would you believe me? Everyone is stunned. With the Prime Minister's help, Feng Yunfei gets the emperor's permission to treat the fourth prince. Then he clears the room, leaving himself alone. Although the prince was cruel first, they never meant to kill him, just wanted to teach him a lesson. Feng Yunfei asks System Miao to scan him, to see when he'll wake up. But the next second, System Miao is shocked. The prince's injuries were caused by martial arts from the Shishui manual. So it turns out, the male lead didn't just use wasps. He also secretly attacked him with martial arts, and then acted innocent in front of Feng Yunfei, making her feel sorry for him. However, System Miao doesn't tell her, only says he'll wake up in an hour. Meanwhile, Zissou hears some new intel. Someone else left the palace today besides the fourth prince. Feng Yunfei decides to act, and pretends to talk to the prince. Your Highness, you saw the attacker? Then he mimics a voice. No, but I saw their token, it looked familiar. This trick leaves Zissou in awe. Meanwhile, the real prince is unconscious, completely unaware. Their act is meant for a certain listener. Sure enough, a nearby eunuch rushes out to report. The trap is set, time for the next step. Even lying down, I got caught up in this. Everything they fabricated, was meant to be overheard. Sure enough, the eunuch outside the door, immediately slipped away after hearing it. Since the fish has taken the bait, it's time for the next step. He first reported to the emperor. He said the fourth prince was still weak. After saying a few words, he fell unconscious again. At this rate, he should wake up in half an hour. But due to oxygen deprivation from drowning, he might start speaking nonsense. However, the chief physician refused to believe it. A mere girl, claims he's awake, but we didn't see it. Could it be? He single quotes as actually unconscious and you're just making excuses? Are you covering up for your purse skills? How can you say that? If he wasn't awake, how could I have talked to him? And how would I know, he would wake up in half an hour? You doctors have been here all day. None of you knew when he'd wake up. If it weren't for me, he might not wake up until tomorrow. I can guarantee, if he doesn't wake up in half an hour, I'll smash my head against this pillar. Seeing his daughter being doubted, the Prime Minister stepped in. If you don't believe her, I'll do the same. The scene left everyone dumbfounded. Then they waited. But before long, Feng Yunfei slipped out. Meanwhile, the eunuch reported to the crown prince that the fourth prince saw the token. Afraid of being exposed, the crown prince decided to check for himself. But just as he stepped out, he saw a beautiful young lady standing there. As he was puzzled, Feng Yunfei gracefully turned around. The sight made the crown prince blush slightly. His mother once told him that Feng Yunfei would become his crown princess. But he thought she was nothing but a pretty face, and she was too close to Zissou. Today's incident outside the palace was meant to be his first gift to this useless young lady. Unexpectedly, Feng Yunfei approached him with admiration. I never thought that visiting the fourth prince with my father today would let me meet your highness too. Would you have time to accompany me for a walk? The crown prince, unwilling to entertain her, declined. How about I let a eunuch accompany you instead? A eunuch is just a eunuch. But your highness is the most handsome, most talented person in the world. How could that be the same? Her words instantly made someone jealous. The flattered crown prince thought she admired him, so he firmed up his stance. However, Feng Yunfei, the master of theatrics, deliberately stepped on a stone and perfectly fell into his embrace. But the crown prince was disgusted by such a cliché move. It seemed she was no different from other women. Unexpectedly, Feng Yunfei apologized, then excused herself and left. At that moment, the crown prince thought she was crazy. Little did he know that his jade pendant had already been stolen. As soon as Feng Yunfei entered the room, she heard the fourth prince rambling deliriously. The culprits are him and Zissou. Faced with the emperor's questioning, Feng Yunfei insisted that she and Zissou were innocent. Your Majesty, I have already reported that the fourth prince might talk nonsense upon waking. Otherwise, why did he first say he saw the culprit's token when he woke up, but now he suddenly claims that I and the third prince harmed him? If I were the culprit, why would I personally save him, only to let him accuse me later? Zissou quickly stepped forward. Father, Feng Yunfei has never harmed anyone. The fourth prince exploded in anger. They were at Jufu Long today. Father, send someone to check. Feng Yunfei immediately turned the tables on him. How did the fourth prince know where we were? Did you still plan to harm the third prince today? Then, right in front of the emperor, Feng Yunfei revealed how the fourth prince lured Zissou to the back mountain. However, the prime minister, knowing his daughter well, immediately sensed something was off. As the argument heated up, the crown prince suddenly walked in. He had planned to expose Feng Yunfei, but didn't realize he had already fallen into her trap. A villainous protecting the male lead? She even approached the crown prince for him, but the male lead got jealous and even claimed her on the spot. Just now, Feng Yunfei finally saw the crown prince arrive. She instantly switched to acting mode, claiming she and the third prince were with him, and the prince even gave her his jade pendant as a token of friendship, so they couldn't have harmed the fourth prince. The crown prince was dumbfounded. This woman dared to drag him into this. He had faked his fall earlier, just to steal the jade pendant as leverage. Your Highness, I believe it was unintentional. After all, he claimed to have seen an order token. Perhaps he was just dazed from the fall. His words shouldn't count. Hearing order token, the prince knew he had no choice. Yes, just as Feng Yunfei said. Chen Jinyu and I were together the whole time. We couldn't have harmed my fourth brother. The fourth prince was stunned. When he tried to argue, the emperor scolded him instead. He was even accused of luring Zissou into the back mountains. But then Zissou spoke up. It doesn't matter who the real culprit is. He nearly lost his life, that's punishment enough. Please, father, don't punish him further. This instantly raised his favorability. People praised Feng Yunfei's kindness. Even the crown prince was impressed. He thought their views aligned, but then Zissou suddenly turned to him. Feng Ya has always been good to me. As long as I'm safe, she agree, right? Feng Yunfei was dumbfounded. So was the crown prince, who Zissou stared at. Since things had come to this, Feng Yunfei had no choice but to state her stance. She agreed not to pursue the matter any further. Since it had come to this, the emperor relented. He only gave the fourth prince a warning. Do not act recklessly again. Before leaving, the emperor walked past the crown prince. Just one look made the prince break into a cold sweat. Wanting to leave quickly, he was suddenly stopped by Feng Yunfei. Thank you for the jade pendant, your highness. But since it was a gift from the empress, you shouldn't give it away so easily. She casually tossed it back to him. The crown prince looked at the woman who dragged him into this mess. Feng Yunfei, I thought you were just a pretty face. Turns out, you have quite the tricks. Good, now this is interesting. Meanwhile, at the prime minister's manor, Prime Minister Feng was furious. He knew things weren't that simple. Zissou quickly stepped in front of Feng Yunfei, taking all the blame upon himself. After explaining everything, Prime Minister Feng realized the crown prince was involved. Feng Yunfei had anticipated this. She set this trap, knowing the emperor would cover for his son, just like he once did for the empress, banishing consort Lian to the cold palace. Was his love for the empress and the crown prince really that special? As they left, Zissou followed behind Feng Yunfei, looking appeasing. In the palace, did you befriend the crown prince just to steal the pendant? Feng Yunfei blinked in confusion. Otherwise, Zissou suddenly realized he had misunderstood her all along. For a moment, he feared she would abandon him. After all, the crown prince and his fiancée were the perfect match, while he was just a neglected prince. But she never turned her back on him. He gently grabbed her sleeve. Feng Ya, I'm sorry. If not for me, you wouldn't have suffered today. Feng Yunfei flicked his forehead. I told you, even without you asking, I would have still taught that fourth prince a lesson. Meanwhile, in Fengyang Palace, the crown prince knelt in repentance. The empress was visibly disappointed. Not only had he been exposed, but the emperor had taken notice. Still, she said nothing much, only reminding him that it was time to consider marriage. As for the rest, she had her plans. But now, Feng Yunfei had changed his mind. If she became his future empress, he grew up unloved and finally opened his heart, only to be thrown into a snake pit by the one he loved most. His heart died and he began to hate her, unaware that she did it to save him, even if it meant being hated forever. Just now, he found out Feng Yunfei was anxious about him visiting his birth mother. After all, that woman was pure evil. But the prime minister joked, people might think he's your child husband. Feng Yunfei blushed instantly, and just then Zissou returned, overhearing it. Tilting his head, he asked, "What does child husband mean?" She froze. "Why are you blushing if you don't know?" The Prime Minister panicked. "It's just nonsense. Please forget it, Your Highness." Thinking he dropped it, they sighed in relief. But Zissou turned to leave. "I'm gonna ask someone else." They panicked and stopped him. He smirked. The Prime Minister quickly explained everything. Feng Yufei was speechless. "So, I'm Feng Yufei's child husband." Her face turned crimson. This brat, he already knows what it means. Why is he still saying it out loud? The Prime Minister stepped in again. "Your Highness is a prince. Please forgive this old man's foolish words." Zissou pouted. "If I can't be her child husband, can I marry Feng Yufei when I grow up? I want to marry Feng Yufei." The two of them were absolutely losing it. The Prime Minister scrambled for another excuse. "Your Highness is still too young. It's not the time to think about these things." The system suddenly popped up. "Warning. Feng Yufei must stop the male lead's dependency." Feng Yufei had a headache. Reminder. Feng Yufei must not let him rely on her too much. She felt utterly helpless. But the more flustered she got, the more Zissou wanted to tease her. He just loved seeing her all cute and embarrassed. So he couldn't accept the thought of her marrying someone else. But as he kept thinking, his nose started bleeding. At this moment, he thought it was just overthinking. Feng Yufei checked his pulse. At the same time, she asked the system to scan him. However, the results made Feng Yufei's heart tighten. The system detected an ancient poison from the southern border, and there was no cure for it in the system's database. It seemed whoever poisoned him wanted him dead for good. Feng Yufei didn't want to believe it. He was the main character with plot armor. How could he possibly die? She forced herself to stay calm. "I'm sorry, my medical skills aren't enough. I'll ask my father to find another doctor." "You'll be fine, I promise." Feng Yufei gave him a few instructions. Then she left the courtyard. She went straight to the wardrobe department to find his birth mother. But no matter how she questioned her, the woman refused to admit anything. "What proof do you have that I did it? Even if you tell the emperor, what can you do?" Her arrogance made Feng Yufei realize someone powerful was backing her up from the shadows. The system warned her not to act rashly. She should wait until she contacted the main system first. When Feng Yufei returned to the Prime Minister's manor, she saw the imperial doctor shaking his head. Preparing for the worst, she walked into the room heavily. In just 1 hour, his face had turned as pale as a sheet of paper. "Feng Ya, am I going to die soon?" Feng Yufei rushed forward and told him to stop talking nonsense. "Are you sad for me?" Feng Yufei denied it without hesitation. But Zissou had always known. He could feel her care for him. "I know you're lying. I know you've always cared about me. The one who risked danger to save me that day was you. The one who helped me teach the fourth prince a lesson was also you. Why won't you just admit it?" Feng Yufei never expected. He had known all along how she felt. "I'm sorry, I lied to you before. Maybe this is my punishment. Since I was a child, even a single meal, I had to fight desperately just to get it. Now that I'm about to die, I want you to know, I've always known how kind and good you are. But only by deceiving you. Only by pretending not to know how good you are. Only by playing along with your act. Could I stay by your side in peace?" Feng Yufei's heart ached unbearably. "I understand. Actually, I've always liked you too. You're a good kid. You'll be fine, I promise." That single word like sent ripples through Zissou's heart. At the same time, it also became a thorn lodged in his heart forever. Just then, System Meow suddenly appeared. It handed over a pill provided by the main system. But this medicine could only keep the protagonist alive for 3 days. In 3 days, the poison will still take his life. The only way to save him is to fight poison with poison. There's a snake cave in the back mountain. You must lock the protagonist inside for 3 days. Let the snake venom neutralize the deadly poison in his body. And host, you must not tell him the truth. Instead, you must use this chance to destroy his trust in you. Make him completely despise you. Feng Yufei couldn't bear the thought of being betrayed by the only person he trusted. How painful would that be? System Meow warned him not to waver. After all, this was a trial the protagonist must endure. Feng Yufei helped Zissou up and made him take the pill. Then he lied, saying it was the antidote. Watching the protagonist fall into deep sleep, Feng Yun, I kept repeating "I'm sorry" in his heart. Not long after, the imperial physician returned and found that Zissou was perfectly fine, with no signs of poisoning at all. Zissou knew that once again he had been saved, but when he wanted to thank Feng Yufei, he saw him with the crown prince, Mihin. At that moment, Feng Yufei also noticed Zissou, and now was the perfect time to shatter his trust. "Your Highness, do you know why I dragged you into this before? Because only this way can I make your Highness truly acknowledge me, Feng Yufei. So you deliberately did it just to get my attention?" "That's right, because Everyone says I'll be the future crown princess. I have to make sure I leave a good impression on your highness. So, you like me, the dashing and elegant crown prince? Graceful and charming. What young girl wouldn't have a crush? Zissou, standing aside, felt suffocated. The person he liked was Zihan. Feng Yufei's boldness greatly impressed the crown prince. But you seem to care about Zissou quite a lot. Feng Yufei claimed he was merely using him, and to prove his sincerity, he had a special gift for the crown prince. Today, I've poisoned Zissou, but to avoid suspicion from the emperor, I gave him a temporary antidote to suppress the symptoms, and even had the imperial physician confirm it. A few days later, when something happens to him, no one will suspect me. What does your highness think of this gift? At that moment, Zissou's heart shattered. Had everything just been his own foolish delusion? That night, Feng Yufei acted as if nothing had happened and took Zissou out for a stroll. Zissou knew he had an ulterior motive, but he still went along with it. Even if it was all fake, this would still be the most beautiful moment of his life. Feng Yufei bought him a candied hawthorn stick, but he didn't eat it. Instead, he carefully wrapped it in paper, then placed it in his chest like a treasure. If he could never have another one from Feng Yufei, then this would be the last bit of sweetness in his life. Feng Yufei looked up at the night sky. The stars are beautiful tonight. Zissou, let me take you to a special place to watch the stars together. Zissou thought of the conversation between Feng Yufei and the crown prince. Feng Jiji, I want to go back. Can we go tomorrow instead? No. I mean, tomorrow. The stars might not be as bright. Why don't we watch for a little while before going home? Zissou's face remained emotionless. He let Feng Yufei blindfold him without resistance. Hand in hand, they walked in silence. Only then did he realize it was the same cave from the cliff fall. As soon as he opened his mouth to call out, Feng Jiji, Feng Yufei cut him off sharply. Don't call me that. I've been disgusted by that name for a long time. Did you really think I wanted to watch the stars with you? But you just said the stars were bright tonight. I lied. You're just a useless prince. Tell me, what do you have that would make me treat you well? Zissou grabbed his arm in disbelief. You have your reasons, don't you? Just tell me. No matter what you've done, I'll forgive you. Feng Yufei yanked his hand away in disgust. How starved for love are you? To always make up such ridiculous fantasies? With that, he pressed a switch nearby. The tightly shut doors slowly creaked open with a deep rumbling sound. Zissou stared in shock at the scene before him, but in the next second, Feng Yufei ruthlessly shoved him inside. I'm not some kind-hearted fool. When I saved you, it was just to gain your trust. And you were nothing more than a tool to prove myself to the crown prince. Now, I'll use your life to secure my future as the crown princess. With that, he pressed the switch again. At this moment, Zissou, entangled by venomous snakes, was completely immobilized. He watched in despair as the doors slowly closed. Tears streaming down, he pleaded, don't leave me. Please, I was wrong. I won't call you Feng Jiji ever again. I won't cling to you anymore. Just let me out, please. But no matter how he begged, Feng Yufei remained unmoved. As the doors finally shut, all hope drained from his eyes. Soon, the massive venomous snakes dragged him into the depths of the cave. His body and mind, tormented beyond limit, collapsed in exhaustion. Was this really how his life would end? If given a choice, he wished he had never felt warmth at all. He wasn't afraid of death, but the pain of falling from heaven into hell. Feng Yufei, I hate you. From outside the cave, Feng Yufei's hands trembled as he listened. Tears streaming down his face, he clutched himself tightly. He hated himself for being powerless. Feng Yufei stayed there for 3 days, until his vision blurred into darkness. The next second, he collapsed onto the ground and lost consciousness. A week later, he received news Zissou had joined the army, and this happened much earlier than the original timeline. By the time he returned again, 8 years had passed. By then, Zissou had probably forgotten him. But what he never expected was that their reunion would mark the start of another unexpected turn.